Welcome into the Los Angeles Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We have a loaded show today, and with the Lakers roster set for the remainder of the season following the NBA trade deadline, I wanted to take a look at 5 lineups I think the Lakers could move at, or use after they made a flurry of moves at the trade deadline. The roster is different, so we're going to go through some lineups and what I think would be best case scenario for the Lakers. We'll even talk about what Darvin Ham had to say about the starters and the people he wants closing games for LA. Let's start with the starting 5. We've seen this now for the Lakers with D'Angelo Russell manning the point guard spot. Darvin Ham likes Russell and Schroeder playing next to each other in the backcourt. Then you got LeBron James when he comes back from injury, dealing with that ankle injury. We'll keep you updated to that. Also, you got Anthony Davis playing the 5 and Rui Hachimura at that wing spot. But it is interesting to me that Darvin Ham likes this Russell and Dennis backcourt. He says their game really complements each other. They're not the same exact player. They're different types of players. And of course, they're not the same player, and they are different players. And Schroeder is a decent playmaker. I think he does make some sense playing alongside D'Angelo Russell. My biggest concern, though, comes back to spacing because the ball is going to be in D'Angelo Russell's hands a good bit, as well as LeBron James, as well as Anthony Davis. And as electrifying of a scorer and blur of a point guard and guard that Dennis Schroeder is, I don't think he spaces the floor correctly for this Los Angeles Lakers team. Shooting 34% from 3. Not good, not bad, a little bit below league average, but I'd like to see another shooter in that starting lineup. He is getting 12 points per night this year so far, 4.3 assists, 41.9% from the field. Schroeder is a fun player, no doubt about it. He's a one-man fast break. He's a threat to drive to the hole at all times, but I just don't know if he is the ideal backcourt mate with D'Angelo Russell, who in his first 2 games is averaging 15.5 points per game, 5 assists. The 3 ball hasn't started to fall for Russell back in LA. That will come. We know he's too good of a shooter from the outside for him to maintain that 27% from downtown, but he hasn't let that affect the rest of his game, still shooting 46% from the field. I wouldn't be surprised if the starting lineup changes as we get closer and closer to the NBA playoffs. I'm not sure if this is the best starting 5, but it doesn't really matter who starts. It matters who finishes games for this Lakers crew, and we'll show you what we think the closing lineup should be. But first, I want to ask the real ones this right here. Is this the Lakers' best starting 5? This is going to be the pinned comment underneath the video. So when you get hit with that YouTube ad break, let it play, scroll down, and answer, is this the Lakers' best starting 5? Lakers lineup breakdowns. 4 other lineups the Lakers could use to maximize their roster and talent, because I thought what Rob Pelinka did at the trade deadline really made this team more dynamic and more flexible and more versatile. They can roll out a bunch of different lineups. They can have an offensive lineup. They can have a defensive lineup. They can have a big, length, rebounding lineup, or they can go small and play LeBron James at the 5, and I still think be a really good defensive team. If they're just trying to get buckets, maybe come back from a lead, I think this is the lineup they're going to rock and roll with. You got Russell and Beasley and Reaves all in the backcourt with James and Davis at your 4 and 5. And I think this lineup is all about pace and all about space. You got Russell, as we know, is a knockdown shooter. Hasn't been that yet for LA. Beasley lit it up the other night for LA, over 20 points. We know he can get hot from downtown. And Reaves has shown the ability to be a knockdown shooter as well. 3 shooters, 3 probably the best shooters on this team around LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think that makes the most sense if you're just trying to have your offensive unit. We've seen the Los Angeles Clippers kind of deploy a lineup like this. Chauncey Billups, Tyronn Lue says that is his offensive lineup. And I think the Lakers could have a very similar lineup just like that. Look, if you're trying to close out a lead and play with more length and more defense, the Lakers have the opportunity to do that. And that's what I think this trade deadline was all about. Versatility and being able to have flexibility and being more dynamic with these lineups. If you're looking to just play some defense, have some length, you got Schroeder, Brown Jr., and you go really big in the front court. You got Mo Bamba, Anthony Davis, and Jared Vanderbilt. And I don't think necessarily the spacing on the offensive end would really be a problem either, because Mo Bamba is a stretch 5. We know Anthony Davis can stretch out the court. And Vanderbilt shooting 33% from 3. Not really a three-point shooter, but he's really the only guy that needs to live in the paint on this lineup, and I think it's a lineup that the Lakers will and should use if they're trying to just get stops, kind of slow down the game and win it on defense. You could also put LeBron James in this lineup if you wanted to, but we wanted to show some without the King in the lineup as well. We got 3 more lineups to get to, including that closing lineup, which I want to hear from you guys later in the show. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/LakersTV. We put out videos almost every day on the latest Lakers news and rumors. No other YouTube channel covered the Lakers like we did during the trade deadline. Video after video after video after move came through. Rob Pelinka, hats off. I think he had a great trade deadline. We had a great trade deadline, and we're going to have a great rest of the season. So lock us in. Hit that big red button. For small ball purposes, there's a bunch of different lineups the Lakers could go with, but I wanted to focus on one with LeBron playing the 5 a little bit. We've seen that from time to time, and I think that might be the Lakers' best lineup outside of when LeBron and Anthony Davis are on the court together. But it's just all about, once again, space and pace right here. You got knockdown shooters and Russell, Beasley, and Reaves. And you got a guy like Brown Jr. who can also knock down some threes. He's an athletic wing as well and can play some defense. You can also have LeBron pretty much playing point center with this lineup. This is a 2K lineup, but it's one that I want to see get some burn in the second half of the season under Darvin Ham. I think LeBron, we know how great LeBron is. I don't have to tell anybody that, but his ability to play every position on the court and be a positive difference maker at that spot is what truly makes him great. I think a point center LeBron would be a pretty damn cool lineup. If you're trying to come from behind and you're really trying to make up points, that's a lineup that could definitely get it done on offense. Closing lineup. We had some debates about this one in the office, but it sounds like Darvin Ham wants to rock with Schroeder in the closing lineup. So you got Russell, D'Angelo, D-Lo, ice in my veins. You got Schroeder, Beasley, Davis, and LeBron. I think this is going to be the crunch time lineup for LA. You got the shooters with Russell and Beasley. You got Schroeder in there as kind of your slasher and a guy that can create off the dribble and get to the rack. And then you got your 2 big dogs in Davis and LeBron. I'm a fan of this lineup. I think they should use it more, kind of like Golden State used to have that death lineup. I think that could be this. I also could see a lineup just like this where you take out Schroeder and you move LeBron back to the 3 and you got Rui at the 4. Kind of a 3-4 interchangeable lineup with those 2 guys. You got 1 big man in Davis, 2 wings and 2 guards. I want to hear from you, though. We've shown you a couple so far. Shout out your favorite Lakers lineup. I want to hear from you. I like the closing lineup. I also like the small ball lineup with LeBron at the point center. I think there's multiple different ways. If we didn't list your favorite lineup, give me your favorite lineup, one that you think the Lakers should use. On this day 7 years ago, in my opinion, the coolest picture in NBA history was taken 7 years ago today. Kobe Bryant in the All-Star game, guarded by LeBron James, a little bit of ISO ball right there, and Kobe just goes up and jacks up a shot like he does better than anybody else. And so cool, and it's a piece of history in the NBA. It's one of the best pictures, I think, ever, and you got 2 of the best players of all time right there. Shout out to the Bean, man. It just still doesn't feel real. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the show today. Look, Lakers got to put it in gear. Now's the time. I think they can compete in the Western Conference. I think Pelinka exhausted every option he could to make this team better. It's not on Robbie P anymore. It's on these players, and they got to start winning basketball games. LeBron needs to get healthy. I think if the Lakers get in the playoffs, they could do some damage. They got the Pelicans coming up. It's going to be a big game. I'm excited for it. Appreciate everyone who tuned in to the Los Angeles Lakers Report today. Made it this far in the video. Comment real one so I know you finished it.